know that your leader is someone who is very strategic. Every action that I undertake has some instrumentality in it, being it that it is for a purpose. It serves a greater good. And so we have taken the time to go around the country to speak to you, our supporters, the base of the party, to report to you on what we have been doing as your government. We account to you. We also took the time to engage the general public, the wider Jamaica community and family at large, in speaking to our achievements and our record. It is important that we do this because you don't want the voters to take for granted the level of work, achievement, and accomplishment that has been done under this administration. Because the opposing narrative was to say nothing, not one. And when there is frustration, people can easily buy that. Take, for example, the conversation about water nationally. But if we were to use South St. James as an example, they would say, not going to water in a South St. James. And that might take some rules, because as your member of parliament pointed out, there are challenges with water in South St. James. I have been into communities in this constituency where I was told bluntly, no water, no vote. You remember that one? A young lady told me that, and I listened to her very carefully. There is a lot wrong with that here. But I understood what she was saying. I understood. And when that kind of frustration exists, all it takes is for someone else to come and say, tell us you water. As the wind, you will get water. And in that frustration, people will accept a promise. We have seen this before. In 2011 election, some of you did not come up yet, but during the election campaign, a big promise was made. When we win, we're going to take GCT off for electricity. How many of you remember that? And when they want what they have to do, not only they have to put back GCT and electricity, they have to put on tax after tax after tax. But in the heat of the campaign, a lot of people bite. They said that they would get IMF deal a couple weeks after they win. It takes them almost 2 years. Some of you, again, you're not a bit of age and the time. And it's a bit while now, some of you may forget. But in the frustration of the moment, people will accept a promise. So I want you, the supporters of the party, and I want the general public listening to appreciate that this is a government of action and performance and promises. So let us use South St. James as the example. In Lapland, Katadupa, your member of parliament told you that those people who didn't have water before, we have now commissioned the water supply system. Something went on for water in this constitution. Probably the largest expenditure on a water project in this constituency is now underway. The scheduled to Anchovy water supply. $600 million of investment to bring water. Your member of parliament named the community. We have planned now the Cambridge treatment plant facility, and we have been planning the Springan Space 2 and 3 and the Barham water system. All those are in the works to come. So, even though things are happening, there are persons who right now are without water. This particular young lady saw me handing over a social house. So I was in the constituency doing nothing. I was there doing something. But as the community gathered to express their appreciation and happiness for the member of their community that is in the house, they also took the opportunity to express their frustration. And I'll never forget it, this young lady, she said to me, I am 32 years old. I work in a supermarket in Bunting, and I have to take almost a third of my pay to buy water every month. You see why she's upset? The argument came up that, so if we don't get the water, now vote. This, by the way, was one of the communities that is slated to get water from the Shetwood project, which is underway. But having waited for 32 years, because she did say that for all her life, her community has never had water. For all her life, never had water. She never catch the them, and be she cares. And she understood it very well. She said, I understand what you are doing, Prime Minister, but we're tired to carry water. We want the water now. So can you imagine when somebody comes with sweet mouth and say, I will give you water. I will even come and turn on the pipe and wash my hands in the water to show you that my hands are clean so you can take my hand. You can imagine that she might very well be swayed by that argument. I go through this experience to relay a point to you, and a point which the young lady understood, because I said to her, you have not had water since you were born. You've lived in this community for 30. I actually only been the Prime Minister for 9 years after 32. I was not the cause of you not having the water. I didn't create that problem, but I am responsible. I am responsible. And I was able to show her how I am executing my responsibility. I could show her that we have $600 million of investment going on right now. Pipes are being pumped by the water in fields everywhere. And it is important for every other young person who wants to have the modern convenience of water in their home, in their bathroom, so they can turn on the pipe and say, shower! I want to tell you, there is water management, there is hope, but bear in mind that we didn't create the problem. And I will go a little further by saying to you that this constituency was held by the PNP for over 30 years. And you see what I'm telling you here now. You listen to it carefully. So hold on, you listen to it. And I'm talking to you, but I'm not only talking to you alone. I'm talking to people watching us on TikTok. Big up the people. Big up the people that on Facebook and Instagram and social. And if they want here, they want here. So after that 32 years, the PNP had 18 and a half years straight that they ran the country. They were in charge. There was no break in their term of office. They had state resources for 18 and a half years. They ran the economy of this country for 18 and a half years straight. And if you take what they have done for water in 18 and a half years and you compare it to what we have done for water in our 10 years, it's double. I don't need music to ride up the crowd when we're ready to call music. So, listen to this point very carefully. So I said to the young lady, the reason why you don't have any water is the mismanagement of the PNP for 18 and a half years, which he has not recovered from. There are those now listening who are quick over and said, oh, that's in the past, that's in the past. Why are you bringing that up? That's in the past and has nothing to do with today. Well, that is a silly logic. Because if we didn't fix the problem then, we wouldn't have the problem now. Those who are going to come now and give you some intellectual argument about what I have said, listen to me carefully. The PNP mismanaged the economy and created the greatest devastation on the Jamaican people called PINSA. It transferred wealth from the poor to the rich. The people who benefited from that transfer of wealth are now coming to you to say, we want power again. Two of them benefited from the greatest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich. And now this young lady, 32 years old, in her life, never see water. Never see water. She never see them. And I will not fail her because she will get her water. Because we transfer it from the poor to the rich. This government has done what this government has done is to manage the economy so well that we now have the resources to spend on the concerns of the poor. But I want you to follow me a little bit more along the logic of this argument. Every government should be able to build upon the legacy of the government that ends. The PNP has not left us any legacy in water. They have not left us any legacy in roads. They have not left us they have not left us in health. They presided over 18 and a half years of decline in our infrastructure, of decline in our institutions, of decline in our society. You only need to look at how the NWC functioned during the period of the king. A debt-ridden, undercapitalized institution without the capacity to build out the water infrastructure in the island. Now, my 32-year-old friend, she's not going to make the connection with the bad government of the past that they do what they are supposed to do, because granted, she would be about 15 or so years at the time, so she would know. You see, why it is important, therefore, that whenever we take the platform, yes, we want to do some gimmicks to get them to laugh and clap and do the things that are, but we come here to teach. We come here to remove the crowds and dark narratives that have misled our young here into educate and to lift the minds of the people so that they know the right choices to make. And so we have been very strategic in making sure that our record is done. Now, a wise philosopher once said, when the debate is lost, the opponent turns to attacking the person. They cannot contest us on our record of performance. This administration is the most successful administration in delivering for the people. And all I need to say to you, you remember, G? You remember that promise? At the time when they made the promise, unemployment was high, over 13% thereabout, and they promised that they would create employment. What they did? They create some crash work program. You remember that? Some of you might not remember that. That's the problem we have to teach. That's why we have to bring these things back into the forefront of the mind of the people, because they're relevant to the decision that you have to achieve. Now look at their solution, which never really did anything. And I want you now to look at what we implemented. We implemented the work program. We implemented the National Service Corps. We made hard training free our young 20,000 of them. We have summer programs with over 15,000 to about 20,000 youngsters in employed for the government. But I want you to also appreciate that the way in which we ran the economy generated jobs naturally and organically. We didn't have to create jobs artificially. The economy, because we run it so well, has generated jobs in the normal course of its operations. And so when unemployment was 30% or more, unemployment today is 3.3%. Its lowest unemployment rate, the lowest. So what's going on? I just use an example. Of their approach and their policy and our approach and our results. So now, because we have so many achievements and we are very deliberate in marking the achievement, I went to a school in my constituency, an early childhood institution, some years ago. And when I was about to told me they couldn't find the river. And you know, those young kids, they go to school and they have in the pummels and the ribbons and they look so cute. And they said, Prime Minister, I hear you don't have the ribbon. And they took out the ribbon and they tied them together and made the bow for us to cut. And so when I put in the basic school, I cut the ribbon only down to see Brian and say, only to see a man come out and say, what time the youngster come home without a ribbon in his card? Where is the ribbon? And they said, and you cut it. What? So, you see what has happened? They can't quarrel about the police stations that we build, and they can't quarrel about the water projects that we are doing. They can't quarrel about the roads that we are fixing. They can't quarrel about the jobs we are creating. They can't quarrel. These are the things that you can contest. They are facts. So what they do now is to attack me, to say, after go walk and cut river. You see how them, what the people words themselves. You see how they disingenuous, a nice word to describe them is pumugin. But Darren Ball, say them bad minds.